exclusion that has kept undocumented kids from accessing the same early childhood and education programs as all other children. And we launched this campaign just 1 week ago, which is a little crazy. And in that time, we've built a coalition of over 30 organizations who are proudly supporting this campaign. And I want to shout them out because not all of them could be here with us. And so it's going to take me a minute, but I think it's important to lift up those organizations. So we have the Alliance for Quality Education, the New York Immigration Coalition, Advocates for Children of New York, the Daycare Council, Make the Road New York, New Immigrant Community Empowerment, NICE, Schuyler Center for Analysis and Advocacy, Committee for Hispanic Children and Families, United Neighborhood Houses, Citizens Committee for Children of New York, the YMCA of Greater New York, Chinese American Planning Council, Moms Rising, El Centro de Inmigrante, Jews for Racial and Economic Justice, La Colmena, All Our Kin, AVS Foundation, the Women's Legal Defense and Education Fund, the League of Women Voters, Robin Hood Foundation, Workers United, New York, New Jersey Regional Joint Board, Children's Aid Society, Graham Windham, the Street Vendor Project, Coalition for Asian American Children and Families, the New York Civil Liberties Union, and Campaign for Children, which is a coalition of 150 children and youth social service organizations. In 1 week. And in addition to the council members that you'll see here, we've also already gotten 15 additional council members on board, and I'm also going to shout them out. So these are council members Nurse, Osei, Sanchez, Kagan, Barron, De La Rosa, Lewis, Williams, Ressler, Rivera, Abreu, Richardson Jordan, and new moms, council members Gutierrez and Juan. And we're going to also be joined by Councilmember Alexa Aviles as well. Woo! Okay, so let's get the show on the road. I'm really, really proud to introduce a champion of our city's children and working families, Comptroller Brad Lander.
What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? Really hard to think of a better chant than that, you know, building a more fundamentally equal city, giving everyone a genuine opportunity to thrive, to learn, to grow, to be who they can be. It completely begins with that very simple but elusive, but today we can make a real difference on it, idea of care for all. So I am so honored to be a partner to this campaign. I really want to give props to the people who are launching it. So, excuse me. First of all, let's hear it for our two amazing council champions, Councilmember Shahana Hanif and Councilmember Tiffany Caban. We got an amazing coalition. We got all those council members. Everybody knows that care for all is essential, but they're the ones who said at this critical moment after the state failed to include undocumented kids in child care expansion that it is time for the city council to act. So one more time, we're just going to give it up again for Tiffany and Shahana. Big props to their teams as well. I have to say thank you to Tiffany's chief of staff, Steph Sokowski. And I want to thank her sister, Allison Sokowski, from our team, who is here. Also a new mom, and you can see Oliver running around here as well. And then this amazing coalition of advocates. So thank you, NICE, and Make the Road, and CACF, and CPC. It is Advocates for Children. It's powerful to be with all of you today. You know, the battle for genuine care for all, to say that all our kids deserve enriching, nourishing early childhood education, it really is in so many ways at the heart of what it means to build a fundamentally inclusive city and society. We know that, of course, because in our public schools, in pre-K and 3K and in elementary school from K to 12, you might say, of course, we include all kids without asking to see their papers. all kids, documented or undocumented, are welcome in New York City's public schools, because we know that is essential. If we genuinely believe every one of these kids has truly equal potential, then it would be, as my grandmother would say, a shanda, like a shame on us to ask to see those kids' papers at the doors of their school. And yet I am sorry to tell you that there are people in this country who are working very hard to take us back to exactly those days. So you're definitely gonna want to boo when I say that Texas Governor Greg Abbott, right now is trying to build on the leaked Dobbs decision to say that the right of undocumented kids simply to go to public schools is not a right in the United States of America. And what we are saying in New York City is not only is it the right of every one of those kids to be in our public schools and our pre-K and our 3K programs, but that we are going to guarantee that every one of our kids, documented or undocumented, no matter where they're from, no matter what family they're from, they have a place in enriching early childhood education right here in our programs in New York City. Excuse me. So, obviously, on the one hand, thank you, Steph. It would have been so much better if the state legislature, as part of their expansion of childcare, simply included this simple guarantee. The federal government, we don't need to talk today about the barriers of making sure that federal funds are fully inclusive, but I do think it's important to be clear the state could, as part of its expansion, have ensured that undocumented kids had access to all the child care resources that are flowing into New York City, and then we wouldn't need to be standing here today pushing for a little more money. And I know everyone here fully supports Senator Jabari Brisport and Assemblymember and former Dreamer Catalina Cruz's legislation, which will solve this problem without requiring New York City money. But session is ending. That bill is not passing. It is on New York City to do it. And the good news is New York City can do it. That's why this campaign that you all are organizing and that Tiffany and Shahana are leading is so important, because for a very modest sum of money, $10 million out of a $100 billion budget is fully within the grasp of the council through organizing to make sure is included in the adopted budget. And on the one hand, that will provide nourishing, enriching, high quality early childhood education for so many kids who need it. And each individual one, you'll get to see them grow and thrive and learn and light up and become readier for school and start to get to meet their neighbors and get ready to learn and grow. And that will be beautiful and powerful. And at the same time, it is an absurdly low price, $10 million, to say New York City supports care for all, that every single kid, whoever they are, wherever they're from, has access to all our early childhood programs. We are going to fight back against the efforts of Abbott and others, and better, we are going to show what it looks like when a city genuinely builds a fully inclusive early child care community all the way through our educational programs. It really is a beautiful and powerful act for a whole bunch of individual kids and an amazing statement for our city. So I want to again say thank you to this coalition. You are doing something beautiful, in some cases for your own kids, in a lot of cases for other people's kids, but also building a New York City as the most powerful example of what a genuinely inclusive multiracial democracy can look like. And at the base of it is, what do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? Thank you for fighting for it. It's great to be standing with you today.
All right, next up we have New York City Council member Tiffany Caban.
Good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
I'm gonna lower this. I'm short. I'm always incredibly energized when I am with my people. Like, y'all are our family, and you show up. And the thing that I want to point out is that Steph did, read off an incredible number of organizations that are supporting this campaign, and we're powerful, and we're gonna win because not only are y'all here, but understanding that, like, we're scrappy. We get in where we fit in. There are plenty of these orgs that are up in Albany right now fighting for care for all families in this very moment. And so that degree of dedication, of using every tool in our toolbox, every strategy at our disposal is the reason why we will win. So I just want to take a second again to thank the folks that are here, Advocates for Children, AQE, Moms Rising, Daycare Council, Make the Road, ECE on the Move, NICE, and just everybody else for stepping up for this very vital priority. And I'm going to be brief because I know y'all have the most powerful things to say. You know, more than ever during the pandemic, it's been undeniably clear that our city relies on the labor of our undocumented neighbors, friends, and family to stay afloat. It doesn't happen without our immigrant families, period. And so no matter what it may have cost to start, we have a moral obligation to provide folks with the same publicly subsidized childcare that other New York families are entitled to. And we have the economic obligation, and lucky for us, lucky for the mayor, it's a really easy one. It is a no-brainer. And it connects to all the things that we care about. It connects to health. It connects to public safety, right? A commitment to true public safety has to include a commitment to meeting families' needs so they're not stressed to their breaking points. And meeting children's needs so they grow up healthy, connected, and secure. And without those commitments, no measures will achieve the public safety outcomes we all want and need. So we're here to tell the mayor that this is an opportunity, right? Like, get on board, step up, be the champion that New York City children, New York City immigrant children need in this moment. Be the champion that our families so desperately yearn for. And again, that price tag could not be easier. I know that Brad said that $10 million, but y'all, that is the equivalent of 0.01 of 1%, 1/100th of 1% of our entire city budget. There's no reason not to do this and support all of our families. So I'm proud to be here with y'all, and we are going to get this done. Thank you.
Next up, we have Council Member and Chair of the Committee on Immigration, Shahana Hanif.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First, I'd just like to thank every single organization, members, for being present. Thank you so much for doing the work that you've been doing through COVID, some of the hardest months that we'll never forget, and for taking care of young people to ensure a future that is successful and to ensure that they thrive. I'm Councilmember Shahana Hanif. I'm also the chair of the Immigration Committee. And I ran for City Council on a commitment to advance a feminist agenda for New York City. And this includes fully funding care work, ensuring reproductive safety and comprehensive coverage, and expanding accessible maternal care, guaranteeing permanent dignified housing for survivors of domestic violence, supporting a full recovery for our minority and women-owned businesses, and implementing universal childcare. And what we have witnessed over and over and over again in this budget fight is the exclusion of undocumented women, youth, and families. Today, we are here to talk about universal childcare for undocumented families. The billions backed by our governor for universal childcare excludes our most vulnerable families, undocumented families. We are here to say that we do not accept this budget cycle, and we will not be waiting for a new budget cycle to do right by undocumented people. Together with my colleagues, Councilmember Caban and Comptroller Lander, and other colleagues, the Women's Caucus, AQE, Daycare Council, Advocates for Children, Make the Road New York, and countless others, we stand firm in our demand for $10 million. $10 million, that is not a lot of money. $10 million to cover the costs of childcare to meet the needs of our undocumented families. We can absolutely get this done and get this done now. While our city relies on the labor of undocumented people, including many, many women who provide childcare and domestic work, it is only right that we care for all working families. What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? Thank you.
Thanks so much, Shahana. So next up, I'm really excited to be joined by one of the advocates who has been so integral to this campaign. I think she's in the back there. We're going to welcome up Betty Bazemelo. Betty is the Education Project Director for Advocates for Children of New York. Give her a big hand.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
My name is Betty Bazemelo, and I'm the director of the Early Childhood Education Project at Advocates for Children. Our project's primary goal is increasing access to early childhood care and education programs for children from birth to age 5, so that they enter kindergarten prepared to succeed. I want to thank first Comptroller Lander, Council members Hanif and Kaban, their staff, other city officials here today, and this great coalition for creating this event and for really championing this effort to get access to care and education for undocumented children and families. I immigrated to this country when I was 3 and was lucky enough to attend a Head Start program where I learned English, where I started to make friends and learned classroom routines. And that was a critical start for the rest of my academic career as well as my professional achievements. Unfortunately, not every child has this opportunity. Over the last 10 years, the city has greatly expanded access to early childhood care and education programs through the launch and expansion of 3K and pre-K for all. But these programs are not for all and have left undocumented children behind. Undocumented children have been excluded from a significant portion of the 3K and pre-K for all programs, as well as the city's early learn programs for infants and toddlers and children under 3. So no child in New York City should be excluded from early childhood education because of their immigration status. Immigrant children are the future New York City students, our future city leaders, and our future workforce. That's why we're here supporting the Campaign for All Families. We're calling on the city to dedicate $10 million to give undocumented children access to the programs that have previously excluded them. To give them access to all 3K and pre-K programs, as well as the early learn programs that the city has for infants and toddlers. Immigrant children have the same potential as their peers and should not be excluded. They need these programs to prepare for their future success. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. Next up, we have another amazing advocate here from AQE. We have Asha Jayaram. Woo!
Hey y'all, can y'all hear me? Yeah? Okay. Good morning. My name is Asha Jayaram, Campaigns Director for the Alliance for Equality Education. We are here to raise the call for childcare for all immigrant families, regardless of citizenship status. We've been talking a lot about the price tag, and it's true, the price tag is minimal, but at AQE, we believe that regardless of the cost, we have to protect and care for our most valuable resources. That is our children, regardless of what piece of paper they have. At AQE, in partnership with the Empire State Child Care Coalition, Make the Road New York, Moms Rising, and so many others, we fought hard to expand, to put us on the path to universal child care at the state level. And universal, again, means for all families. The governor, Kathy Hochul, seemed to agree with us, at least at first. She talked about having to leave her job to care for her children. She talked about the need to support child care workers as educators. and she promised to transform our child care system. Turns out that transformation did not include everyone. Immigrant children without legal status were left behind, as though those children aren't every bit as deserving of love and care as other children, as though compassion and human rights have borders, as though love for our children comes down to a piece of paper. We reject this 1,000,000 times over. We look to our city to step up for immigrant families and to show our governor and her xenophobic allies what true leadership looks like. Thank you.
All right, now we're really excited to be joined by Councilmember Alexa Aviles from District 38.
My own microphone. No, I will put it here. Hello, everyone. How are we today? Good. My name is Alexa Aviles. I represent District 38 in South Brooklyn. We are a community, yes, woo! We are a community of almost 30% undocumented families and families without green cards. This means the world to us. We cannot continue to create bifurcated systems that excludes people. This is absurd that we're even having this conversation. We should always be opting in for inclusion. We are fighting for a world that includes everyone, regardless of your immigration status. This is an immigrant city, and we are here to stand and ask the governor and ask every entity, every funding entity, that they not leave our families behind. We want $10 million to make sure that we get care for everyone. Okay, you can imagine, I am a mother. I come here, I just came from a school building filled with families with mixed statuses. How do you tell a mother that you're gonna give one child a subsidy and not the other? It's disrespectful. It's disgraceful that we're even having to ask for this resource. So I'm here demanding on behalf of all my constituents, on behalf of New Yorkers, care for all. Do not exclude anyone. We need the 10 million. We need it now. We need more than 10 million, but I'm going to be okay with the ask right now. Bella, we need more than 10 million. Yes. So with that, I want to say thank you to the organizers. Thank you to the families for fighting every single day for dignity. This is about dignity and children. This is about safety and healthcare. This is about democracy. This is about everything we are fighting for. We need the 10 million. We want it now, not later, pero ahora mismito, for our families. Care for all. Thank you.
Thanks, Alexa. So now I'm really excited to bring up a resident of the district that Tiffany and I work in, a leader with Moms Rising, Diona Moreno.
Hi everyone, good morning, buenos dias mi gente. So my name is Diona Lumanji. I'm a campaign director at Moms Rising, Mamás con Poder. We are a national organization that fights to help increase family economic security, decrease discrimination, and ensure that everyone in our country can thrive. And you know what families need to thrive? Childcare. And you know who needs access to childcare? All families, regardless of immigration status. So I'm here representing Moms Rising, my organization today, but I am also here as a New Yorker. I am also here as a mom who has had to navigate childcare in New York City. I have 2 kids, they're 5 and 11. It is really hard for everyone. And also, more importantly, I'm here as a daughter of immigrants. My parents came almost 50 years ago to this country and made this place their home. And I am here because it's very personal to me. It's my responsibility to fight for those who have come after my parents, to say that I see you and I know it's not easy, and I am here with you and I stand with you because we have to show up for you the way you have showed up for our city every single day. During the pandemic, immigrant essential workers kept our city moving. We know that every single day. They take care of our kids, they deliver our food, they prepare our food, and we cannot turn our backs on our immigrants. We need childcare for every child, regardless of immigration status. The early years, I love saying this when I'm at an event. The early years from 0 to 3 are the most critical time in a baby's brain development, okay? This is a time where we must make big investments. Yes, 10 million now, but a lot more investments. This is just the beginning for every single child, regardless of immigration status. And we need to be a city that says, that leads by example. We need to show the people in Albany, the lawmakers in Albany, we need to show people in Washington, D.C., that this is the way we get it done, that this is what we do in our city, and we must lead by example. So today, we're asking New York City to show up. 10 million, it's a drop in the bucket if you think about it. There's no excuse to not get this done. We need to get this done now, and the way we show up for immigrants in New York City is to pass child care for all immigrant families.
Thank you. So I want to do another chant, a different one than we were doing before, but it's easy. It's just C-A-R-E, care for all in NYC. Think we can do that? Okay. C-A-R-E, care for all in NYC. C-A-R-E, care for all in NYC. Woo! That was good. Next up, I'm really excited to be joined by Diona Moreno from NICE. All of the amazing members here with yellow, hard to miss them. Give her a warm welcome.
¿Qué es lo que queremos? Cuidado para todos. ¿Y cuándo? Ahora. ¿Y cuándo? Ahora. That's right. Okay, buenos días, mi gente. Buenos días. Good morning, everybody. Un poquito en español voy a hablar para mi querida gente, para mi querida comunidad, que entendamos por qué estamos aquí. Por qué estamos aquí parados en este día caluroso, parados por nuestros derechos. Muchos de nosotros somos trabajadores y trabajadoras inmigrantes. Esenciales, siempre nos han llamado esenciales, ¿verdad? Pero si no nos van a tratar como esenciales, eso solamente es una palabra. Tenemos el compromiso en esta ciudad de inmigrantes, en la ciudad de Nueva York, de cuidar a todos nuestros queridos inmigrantes, incluyendo los más pequeños. Así es. Porque nosotros seremos juzgados por cómo nosotros gastamos el presupuesto de la ciudad. Y los más vulnerables son los que se merecen esa protección, son los que se merecen ese cuidado. Nuestros queridos niños, que de 0 a 3 años es el momento más importante en su desarrollo mental, es crítico. Y no importa su estatus migratorio, se merecen ese cuidado. Así que estamos aquí para luchar por el cuidado para todos, así es. So, very quickly, I would like to just say, my name is Diona Moreno. I am the Interim Executive Director with New Immigrant Community Empowerment. We are an organization that advocates for immigrant workers. And guess what? Childcare is a labor rights issue. Childcare is an immigrant rights issue. Because without childcare, our essential workers, those who kept the city running all throughout the pandemic, cannot go to work. It is essential that the city of New York steps up when the federal government has failed to pass immigration reform, when the state government has failed to pass excluded worker fund and childcare for all. New York City is the city of immigrants. We trust that the city is going to step up for immigrant families because it is what we deserve. Let's pass care for all now. What do we want? Care for all. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Care for all. When do we want it? Now. Así es.
Great. Next up, we have Amy Tsai, a parent leader with AQE and a resident of the Bronx.
Morning, everyone. I hope everybody is doing well. My name is Amy Tsai, and I'm a leader at Parent Action Committee New Settlement in the Bronx, and also in partnership with AQE. I'm also a mom of 5, and I dealt with childcare that wasn't accessible to me or affordable to me. I'm a child of parents that are immigrants from Taiwan. I am, been in a situation where I didn't have anyone to watch me other than neighbors or friends of, schoolmates. but also for my children as I'm a mom. I have 3 children that have special needs, and I had to give up my career so that I could watch my children, and I couldn't afford childcare because at that time it was more than $1,000, more than what my rent cost in the Bronx, and I didn't have the living wage to really support my children through early childhood and after-school programs. So I wanted to say that we appreciate Governor Hochul for the $7 billion for childcare, but that child care plan does not include our undocumented families. As I said, I come from the Bronx, so a large chunk of our population are undocumented families, and they deserve to have early childhood and affordable child care services. And those that work for child care providers are also have decent living wages to support themselves, their children that they love, that they care for at their centers or their home as child care providers. And that we need to make sure that undocumented families deserve the same. They're just hardworking families. They worked really hard during the pandemic. They came out for their families, and now they are not part of the plan. They're not held accountable for, given the same exact thing as every other children. And so $10 million isn't enough from this budget, but we know that it's a start, and we know that there needs to be more of the coming years of more money to our child care. So this is what they need, this is what they want, and they deserve to have it just like everyone else. And I just appreciate all the elected officials and all the members here and all the organizations that are out here, because it's important for our children to succeed, but not just to survive, to thrive in a city that deserves to have diversity. And all of our urban cities in the nation are immigrant families. And so New York City needs to be the leading nation of childcare for universal for everyone. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, we are nearing the end, but we still have a couple of really wonderful speakers. Just want to alert folks, especially the folks up here, there is water. Give a wave if you need it. I'll deliver it to anyone. But next up, I'm really excited to be joined by Gregory Brender from the Daycare Council.
C-A-R-E, Care for All in NYC. C-A-R-E, Care for All in NYC. Good morning, my name's Gregory Brender. I'm here on behalf of the Daycare Council. We are a membership organization of early childhood education providers throughout New York City. We're also part of Campaign for Children and Empire State Campaign for Childcare, which represents hundreds of organizations who are here today in support of the Care for All campaign. In every neighborhood in New York City, there are early childhood educators, staff, teachers, directors, working hard to make sure that children learn, working hard to make sure that they can socialize and be with other young children, working hard to make sure that parents can go to work. What they're not doing it for is to exclude families. No one wants to be excluding families. They're not doing this to check the papers of 2-year-olds. That is absurd. It is sickening that in this state and in this city, at this day and age, we are denying children an early childhood education because of their immigration status. The state did not do the right thing for undocumented children in this budget. We hope they're going to come back and do it next year, but we're not going to wait. Great leaders in this city, and we want to thank Controller Lander, Councilmember Caban, my council member, and Go Astoria, Councilmember Hanif, Councilmember Aviles, for their leadership in making sure we're going to do the right thing here in New York City and make sure we have care for all families. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. All right. Next up, we have Betty Ruiz from Make the Road.
Betty's going to go first, and she's going to be reading her testimony in Spanish, and then I will translate into English.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Betty Ruiz. Soy madre de 2 hijos, miembro de Hace Caminos Nueva York. Soy una madre inmigrante que dejó todo en mi país por una buena vida. Pensé que los Estados Unidos era un país exclusivo. Pensé que el estado de Nueva York era muy exclusivo, pero no es así. He estado muy enojada al ver que la gobernadora fácilmente excluye a las familias indocumentadas del presupuesto estatal. Simplemente es injusto. Nadie debe ser discriminado por su estatus migratorio, mucho menos los niños. Hoy estoy aquí representando a las familias como la mía, Familias inmigrantes que día a día salen a trabajar para dar de comer a sus hijos y proveer un lugar donde vivir. Actualmente estoy sin trabajo porque no he buscado el cuidado para mis hijos de 2 años. Me han negado por mi bajo ingreso y porque mi hijo no es ciudadano de Estados Unidos. Es urgente que madres como yo encontremos cuidados de niñez accesibles. Necesitamos que nos ayuden a financiar estos programas. Por eso estoy aquí, muy contenta por la concejal Tiffany Cabán, que haya tomado esta iniciativa pensando en las familias inmigrantes como la mía. Esta es una lucha constante, encontrar centros de ciudadanos de niñez accesibles. Estos centros no reciben los recursos necesarios para apoyar a las familias como las mías, lo que pone a la familia inmigrante de la clase trabajadora a un ciclo donde nos limitan que tanto podemos echar hacia adelante. Tengo mucha fe que el apoyo de la ley de la concejal Cabán se haga realidad. Seguimos luchando para obtener una vida sostenible y poder trabajar saliendo de nuestros hijos al cuidado y una educación adecuadamente. La ciudad inmigrante invierte tanto en la economía de este país, es justo que inviertan en el futuro de nuestra nueva generación. Concejal Cabán, todos los que están aquí apoyando, con muchas gracias de parte de todos los padres inmigrantes que están en la necesidad de apoyar. ¡Sí se puede y sí se puede! ¡Sí se puede!
Okay. Good morning. My name is Betty Ruiz, and I am a mom of 2 and a member of Make Their Own New York. I am an immigrant mom who left everything in my country for a better quality of life. I thought that New York State was inclusive, but it is not. Seeing the governor easily exclude undocumented families from state budget have made me really angry. It is simply unjust. No one should be discriminated against because of their immigration status, especially not our babies. I am here representing families like mine, immigrant families who every day work to provide food, shelter for their kids. Right now, I have been without work, and I have been looking for childcare for my 2-year-old son, and I have been rejected for my low income because my kid is not a U.S. citizen. Mothers like me urgently need affordable childcare. We need the city to support these programs financially. I'm so happy that Council Member Tiffany Caban is pushing for this and thinking of immigrant families like mine. Finding affordable childcare is a constant fight. Childcare centers do not receive the necessary resources to support families like mine. The immigrant community and working class is stuck in a cycle that limits what we can do to progress. I have a lot of faith that the budget proposal of Councilmember Caban has proposed will come to fruition. We will continue fighting to obtain a sustainable life where we can go and work knowing our kids are adequately cared for. The immigrant community invests so much in this country and its economy. It's only just that the city invests in the future of our next generation. Thank you so much, Councilmember Caban and the whole City Council for supporting this, everyone that's fighting for care for all. Thank you.
All right, folks, our final speaker. I'm so excited to introduce Shanita Bowen from ECE on the Move. Woo!
Hi, I am the director for ECE, Director of Operations for ECE on the Move. Does this work? Yeah? Oh, okay. We are family child care providers. We are the education and the care workforce in residential settings. That means that there's a family-based child care provider on every street throughout the city and certainly across the state. We've established that child care supports brain development. Child care supports the important stages of development. Child care providers take pride in caretaking and education of young children. Families knock on our doors because they know we are culturally responsive. Their child will participate in emergent literacy and math and play-based activities of all kinds, making new friends, learning pride in themselves, and over time becoming model citizens for this state and country, and maintaining a family-based relationship with the child care provider that lasts a lifetime. And then we get the knock on the door from a family whose citizenship has not yet been established, nor the child that they bring to us. but they got to go to work. They've got to survive, and they need child care like no one else needed it. We might even say they need it more. As a child care provider, all we see are children in need. We find a way to care for all of the children in our communities. This is what we want from the state and the city and from our nation. Anything else is unconstitutional, and it supports segregation, favoring some children and oppressing others. We will not participate in that under any circumstance, even to our own detriment and lack of historic financial difficulties. On behalf of family child care providers who live, work, and share in communities where there are undocumented families and children needing care, we ask the city for an investment of $10 million to support those children who currently have the greatest need due to their status. This investment would also be supporting the provider who takes on that challenge, often without payment or very little pay. The city must make an investment that boldly supports all. Thank you to Councilmember Caban and to those of City Council who continue to work on this. Thank you.